Okay, so in the last video, I talked about the tarot decks that I have now and the tarot decks that I've had in the past. So right now I'm going to talk about the different spreads that I usually use. Most of the time I just go with like a very basic 3-card spread, just, next to each other horizontally in a row. Mostly that's what I have the time for. I'm fairly busy throughout the day working on artwork or going to school or doing chores. So usually I have to wait till like nighttime to have actually a chance to work on this. And so I usually don't have time for big spreads like the Celtic Cross anymore, although I have used that in the past, like in the beginning. But so now I just usually go with a 3-card spread. Oftentimes I won't have a specific, it won't be like specifically past, present, future kind of thing. It'll just be on a general topic, and those 3 cards will symbolize that general topic. I do a reading every month. Actually, I have a calendar. See if you can see it. Yes, that red calendar, red and black calendar. I don't have this month's cards up yet, but what I do is I do a general reading for each month, and with a 3-card spread, and then I go online, get just basic Rider-Waite black and white line drawings, because there's a whole like Rider-Waite black and white deck. You can find it. I don't think it has a copyright. I'm sorry if it does, but I end up just using it for my calendar. And I printed out the right size and I put them at the top of each month with like the calendar dates on the page below it. I just decided that would be a really good exercise. This is the first year that I've done that. So I've been doing that for about half a year now, and it's been working out great. So like I said, I need to actually glue those on. I haven't done that yet for June. But I've done that for all the other months. I haven't forgotten yet. I haven't forgotten a single month, which is great, because that's what I intended. I also sometimes do readings just whenever there's something that I'm confused or curious. I don't know if curious is the right word, because it has to be more than just, like whimsical curiosity usually. But, if there's something that I'm seriously thinking about or a problem that I just really need help getting to the bottom of, I'll use my card. I'll go do a tarot card reading. If a basic 3-card spread doesn't seem to work for me, if I still feel confused about the issue, I'll do a larger spread or shuffle again and choose additional cards. But that doesn't usually happen. Usually 3 cards I find is pretty sufficient. There was actually a brief time of like maybe 4 months when I just had my Animals Divine Tarot. I had gotten into a relationship with a girlfriend, and for some reason, like, we were both really into tarot, but we mostly used her deck, and every time I tried to use my deck, whether I was with her or not, I just couldn't connect to it, and it was bizarre. And for a while I kept thinking, I'm gonna have to get a new deck, and it stunk because I'd only had this deck for like 2 years, and I didn't have the money to get a new one, and I didn't really want to have to, go get a new deck because I loved this deck. I don't know why that happened. I think maybe just I was attuned to a different set of energies when I was with her, and it wasn't like I couldn't do tarot readings, because when I used her deck it worked perfectly fine. But a few months later, when I got into after that relationship ended and I got into another relationship, it started working for me again. Like, my Animals Divine Tarot, it was like nothing had ever happened, which I'm glad about. Sometimes the people that you're with or associating with at the time, not that they're bad people, not that, you know, it's any negative kind of thing, but it can affect how you relate to the world around you, and certainly to your tarot decks if you do tarot. I'm not sure if the same thing goes for, like, runes. I've used runes in the past. I might do a short video about that next week. But I don't use them much, and I haven't used them in a very long time. So about how I record all my tarot readings, and when I did runes, I did the same thing, and it's all in this notebook. The layout's changed slightly over the years, but I kind of got into one in particular. What I do is I write the date in the upper left-hand corner. In the middle, I write the deck that I am using, since I have multiple decks, and also just because as years go on, you might have a different deck, and it's good to know which one you're using. And sometimes I'll write what time of day I'm doing this. That one, it's not as important. I've never actually gone back and referenced what time of day I did it, but just in case. Then I write down what I'm doing the reading about, or what my question is. And then I do a tiny, I don't even know if you can see, a tiny little diagram of the spread that I'm doing, and I'll number the cards. And then I write those numbers going down the rest of the page. I write the name of the card that I end up getting for that part of the spread, and sometimes I'll write a brief, very brief interpretation of that card if I have time. I should probably do it every time, but I'm lazy. So I think that's very helpful. Definitely when you're doing tarot card readings, write down each time what you've come up with. It'll help you in interpreting the cards as you go along, and it's, you know, it's a good reference. This notebook here, I started for Animals Divine Tarot of my own interpretations rather than have to constantly be referencing the book. I actually only got like halfway through the Major Arcana, and this was like 2 years ago, and then I forgot about it or something, and I haven't worked on it since, but I want to get back to that, and I also want to do that for the John Glock's Eternal Dream Tarot. Hopefully. I've been spending more time on my Book of Shadows lately. So I think that's also a very helpful thing to do when you start to feel proficient, or when you feel like you're ready or should start working on your own interpretations, which is ultimately where you want to get to be. You start a journal or write it in your Book of Shadows if you keep one of those. Just write it down somewhere, in a journal, in a notebook, something. It's time consuming, but pretty much everything about getting, you know, really good at tarot readings is going to be time consuming. The readings are going to be time consuming, practicing with it in the beginning is going to be time consuming, and then actually, you know, when you get proficient enough, actually, you know, writing down all your interpretations, that's going to take a lot of time too. Guess I'm going to do a brief third part and talk about a tarot deck that I want to save up for.